Hey guys, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Mary. So Mary, welcome.
Thank you.
So Mary, you were officially typed as an ENTJ, but what kind of ENTJ were you typed as? Like what specific type?
The visual FM
Okay,
and then TENI.
all right.
But somehow I don't understand the like you said, I was masculine TE, masculine NI,
Yes.
but I'm visual FM. So I don't think I quite understand how that works yet. And then feminine sensory, and then feminine FI.
And then what about the animals? What did you get for
The
that?
animals is blast, play, consume, sleep.
Ask, play, consume, sleep. All right. So you're quite the extroverted
I
ENTJ.
don't feel extroverted, but I suppose that's what they saw.
Yeah. And then,
Maybe I am, and I just don't.
oh, your camera is cutting out. Oh, there we go. It's fine. Um, so
Okay.
when you got your type back, what did you think and how did you feel?
I didn't want to be an EJ. So there's that, and then everyone that watched any of my videos all told me that they saw SI. So the NI really surprised me.
Uh-huh.
I'm still not sure how I see that or what it looks like. I'm not sure yet. Still processing. I think it's going to take me a while. And apparently, I've been told and I'm learning that sleep last. That's probably the last thing I do is sit and, if I understand it correctly, think about things. I mean, I think all the time. Like the NT, they're like, yes, you overanalyze, which I do that all the
Yes.
time. But I don't know. That's kind of how I'm trying to understand it as I go. And consume is a hobby. That's what I was told, and that makes sense. So
Okay. Well, I do see the NT stuff for sure because you're very big into understanding. So I could see that. But some people, you said, thought you were SI. Why do you think people thought you might have SI? Like, are you doing anything that's a lot of, you know, step by step
um,
when you talk to people or?
I think it was because I was talking about um, sensory. I think it was more like it was what I was talking about, sensory. That's the way I remember it being explained back to me when someone watched my video. So, and everyone couldn't decide IJ or EJ because I'm controlling, but yet I have people issues too. So,
Right.
yeah.
So would you say you have more people issues or more chaos problems? Like what is the
I feel like they're pretty balanced. Like I have both.
you have problems with both? Okay.
I feel like I have both. And the reason I say that's why I couldn't decide either. I'm like, well, I mean, things drive me crazy. But usually I'm always pointing at a person for the blame game, like,
Gotcha.
and like on the Facebook group, I'll say things like, talk about tidal waves. And one of my big ones is driving. And I get so aggravated about traffic, which is not the problem really. It's the road design. Like I want to redo the whole road design. Like I have the silly idea that if it was just this way, then it wouldn't be such a problem. Like for example, I don't know if that's people or things. To me, it's both.
It could also be because you're a visual. So I think
Yeah.
you're seeing something, you know.
Oh yeah. I can totally see it all. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, feminine and masculine, the visual type is one of the most rare ones so far that they've typed. So you're definitely not someone that's common. That they've typed so far at least. Um,
Right.
and so that's pretty interesting. Now you are blast first. So would you say you're the kind of person that likes to teach or lecture? Um,
Yeah.
what is your experience with that?
Well, I'm a homeschool mom. So, I drive my family crazy because if you look around this room, which you can't see it fully, this is our school room. And I have a desk there and I have a desk behind me and I have whiteboards and I have lists and I'm, you know, making the boys do everything. And teaching wise, I'm always over instructing, like I'm giving entirely too many directions. And then, I have boys, they're like, okay, mom, we got it. Even though I come back and I'm going to look and see what they've done, do not have it. But, I just talk too much. I talk too much and I tell them too much and I over explain. So that's probably blast, right? And on top of that, I've got masculine TE, which, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like exactly, except for I just seem extra bossy, maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty much what, masculinity would be. Like you would be more bossy or kind of like telling people what to do, That's essentially
all day long at my house. So yeah, I do all of those things.
How many kids do you have?
I have a daughter who's 24, and then my boys are 15 and 16.
Oh, okay. So they're teenagers then. And
yeah, and then my daughter, she's married, and I also have a grandbaby, so that's all new and fun.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Were your kids all homeschooled, or did some of them go to public school? Or
well, Kayla went to public school, and I started homeschooling her when she was in 3rd grade.
Oh, I see.
Starting 3rd grade. So it's been since 2004 that I've been doing this.
And what made you decide to homeschool your kids?
Mainly because I wanted to be the one to influence them. Mainly. And it's funny, my story is pretty hilarious to myself, I suppose, because I didn't graduate high school. Most of the homeschool moms that I know all, have degrees, masters. They were teachers before, in the public school system. And I don't have any of those credentials. Not that I think that makes me qualified, but in the beginning, I was really hard on myself. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, and anyway, so it's been a huge learning journey for me. And homeschooling almost seems like it's been for me more than it's been for them. I mean, it's fine for them, but it's been something that's been really huge for myself.
So would you say that the idea of homeschooling was for you to be in control of the situation? Because if
probably, for sure.
And what kind of chaos were you trying to avoid from your kids going to school? Like you said, you wanted to be the one that influenced them. What were you trying to avoid them from being influenced by? Like what was it that you're trying to protect them from?
Well, I always say this, even on interviews, I became a Christian when I was like 27 or 8. And that's about when I started homeschooling at the same time. So my number one motivation, influence, and to introduce them to just teach them the Bible and not have outside influence so much. And what I keep saying about outside influence, my kids are completely sociable. We go out all the time. We live in a very busy area, so that's not an issue either. But yeah, mainly because I just wanted to teach them the Bible, and and plus I had a terrible school experience myself. Like growing up, my mom would move me twice a year. I would always be in a new school. I was in slow learning, reading, learning classes. I was dyslexic. I stuttered really bad until I was about 3rd or 4th grade, and I dropped out by the time I was like 9th, 10th grade. I'm just like done with school. But I don't know. It's like, I laugh at myself because I'm like, I shouldn't be homeschooling my kids. Like I've had people say that to me, but my kids are doing great. They are. And I don't know why I homeschooled other than I just wanted to teach them about God, about the Bible, and I wanted to be the one to influence them. And I knew that was going to be a big deal because I don't know if you watched any of my other videos, but my background is pretty crazy. So, and I just wanted to start over from that, do something different than what my family has always done.
What has your family always done?
Well, nobody graduates high school. Everybody does drugs. Everybody drinks. Nobody's married. Always boyfriend, girlfriend stuff. Always house to house to house, losing your house, living in poverty on purpose. That kind of stuff. Like, So I was very determined. And I remember being like 20 something and being so mad about the fact that I felt cheated, like because I didn't go to college. I didn't even graduate high school. I did get a GED on my own when I was 19. That's something I was like determined that I was going to be something and go somewhere in my life, whether this is just how it ended up. And here I am I'm 45 and I'm pretty pleased with how my life's going, but I also I always felt cheated. Like, does that make sense? Like, I felt like if I would have had a family that cared about me and gave me opportunity, that I would have done better. Like I don't know.
I completely understand what you're saying. I also find it fascinating that it seems like your whole family are EPs, like they're all chaotic and like no one
Probably.
wants to commit to anything, and that's why
Right.
everyone's in poverty. And so, you're surrounded by so many EPs that, that are not, I guess you could say, develop, because there's obviously developed EPs who got their, stuff together, but
Right.
your story also sounds very similar to my cousin. So my cousin is also pulling out his son, my nephew then, because she also wants to make sure she's the one influencing him and to make sure that he follows the Bible also. So I do suspect that she's an ENTJ also, the control. So I thought that was quite fascinating when you said that. I was like, oh my God, that's something my cousin is doing, like complete identical, exactly identical. So anyhow, what about your play? So your blast is very obvious, like it's very strong, very prominent. I don't think you were typed wrong in your blast. It's quite obvious that you receive your control also. What about your play? So where does the play come in? Does it mean you're also pretty, when it comes time to play and have fun, you could be easygoing then, or is that?
Well, I always feel like I'm too uptight and serious.
Yeah.
I think I would play more if I was more confident. Sometimes I feel like I'm crossing lines when I'm trying to play. Like sometimes I'm too sarcastic,
Yeah.
or because I do that a lot. I'll hurt people's feelings and not realize I've done it. And actually, I'm just joking around.
Yeah.
And yeah, I tend to be too serious. My husband is extremely playful, and he's always trying to like bring me down because I'm the serious one and he's the not serious one.
Right.
So there's that. And I don't know. I kind of wondered if playing meant that, like, even in a learning situation, you're just going to figure it out. Like, you just get in there and you don't really have all the information, but hey, like I'm the kind of person that opens up the box. I don't look at the directions. I don't need them. So I can just figure it out. Like if it was to put together a desk, I could put that desk together without directions. I thought maybe that was play, sort of, not just a playful interaction. Am I wrong about that? I could be. I mean,
I think what you just described is blast also, like getting started before things. Play is more interacting with another human being or expending energy. So that means you like and enjoy to interact with other people, and you're quite good at interacting with other people. So you can kind of bounce ideas between other individuals, and you can have a back and forth conversation, and it's relatively smooth. It's not awkward. It's having play as savior, because individuals would play last tend to be quite awkward or so it's missing that fluidity when they're conversing with others. So if you have play as a savior, it means you're quite good with with just dealing or interacting with other people.
Sometimes I think it has to do with my mood, like if I want to do that or not. Right. Does that make sense? I don't know, because I can when I want to. Let's put it that way.
I think when you said that you offend people sometimes when you're playing around, I think it's because of the masculine TE. I think usually when people get upset, it's because of the masculine TE. That usually is or masculine FE for people with FE. That's usually what offends other people, is like that masculine tribe punch, right?
Like right in your face. Yeah.
Now you have consumed third, so you mentioned that you you will put together something before you read instructions. However, you still have consume as a hobby. So do you take the time to read books or watch videos online or listen to audio?
Yeah, lots of videos. I prefer videos. Um, Books get on my nerves because I want them to get to the point. So I'm one of these people that will literally skim and look for what I'm looking for. So to read a storybook, I have read a handful of them, but I don't know. I mean, I don't have desire to sit down and just read a book, but I'll watch a TV show and I could get hooked on that if it's a good series, for example. And I don't do that often. That's something recently I've done. Well, I say recently, the last couple of years. But I'm always on a mission to find out something. Like I go to, of course, the internet because I have a question. I always have a question. I want to know about this. I want to know about that. And then I'm a skimmer. Like I just want to get to the point. So I'm going to read. I don't know. I have a hard time reading every single word. So what is that? I don't know. That's kind of how I do it though. It
Well,
gets me in trouble.
that's definitely not SI. So I don't think you have SI because people with SI like to read word for word for word, line by line.
Oh,
So
it drives me crazy.
I don't think you don't. I think the people who said that you have SI, I don't think they are correct, because if you did have SI and you were reading, you would definitely read line by line by line. That's
Yeah.
that's a definite SI trait. So that rules that out. Now, something that I noticed while we were talking is that you have sleep loss, but it seems to me that you have a pretty good self-awareness. Like, you know,
Yes.
you had no problem kind of saying, oh yeah, I'm controlling. Like you kind of just, you said it so
Well,
casually.
that's what Dave and Shan both told me, that I was very aware of, and that was my whole reason for learning OP, is I want to figure out and help myself fix things that I see as big problems in my life. Like, sometimes I can just be so mean and I hurt people's feelings. And I can be really mean. And that's something that I really want to fix about myself. And then understanding the TE and the FI, and I have no idea how to FI. Like, I just don't even know how to do that. I don't know if I completely even understand the function. So yeah, I'm still working on that.
Well, FI would be, that would be your values, like
Yeah.
picking your values. And FI is not about reason too. Like, it's kind of like saying, like, trying to think of an example here. Like, I love traveling. That's FI. Like, I love traveling, like,
Right.
like I hate cleaning. That's like FI also. Like,
I have those things. I mean, I say those kind of things. I mean, I do it.
yeah, but it's also kind of choosing your values, which it seems like you are, because you're following the Bible, right? So that's
Mhm.
um, so it doesn't.
My favorite saying used to be that the Bible made my life make sense. So,
Yeah,
and now learning OP terms, that's kind of funny to me. So, like, oh,
I guess you're still trying to make logic out of it instead of like
pretty much. Yeah, it's got to make sense, pretty much.
FI is an emotional thing, right? Like, it's not something that you reason with. It's something that, like, something you feel, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always been really insecure, and I used to blame it on, and like Dave would said in my audio, he's like, "You're going to find a million reasons why you're not good enough," which, I'll blame my upbringing, I'll blame and I'm not educated, or just I'll keep naming off all these reasons.
Right.
So.
I think I think it's also because you have feminine FI. I think that's
Yeah.
what makes it really hard. Because if you had masculine FI, it would be slightly easier. Not
Yeah.
that it would be a lot easier. Because as an EJ, I think it would be definitely the biggest challenge that you would have.
Yeah.
But you seem to be aware of it. So I think your attitude towards it, I think, is going to help you a lot. Because
Yeah.
the fact that you recognize that this is the problem, and now you can come up with a solution, right? Because if you never even recognize it, you're like, this is not a problem, then you're not going to come up with a solution. What about your secondary demon, which is chaos, right? So if identity is your biggest problem, your second problem would be chaos. So let's talk about chaos a bit, because that seems to be one of your biggest problem too, like especially with your
Yeah.
family growing up. So
It
um,
was a nightmare.
do,
Seriously.
can you find any positive though when it comes to, you
My
know,
family.
yeah, like, you know, because that would mean like EP would be kind of one of your problem area, but EP also means gathering, right? So,
Hmm.
and also wanting freedom. So do you care about freedom or gathering, or this is not something that's very important to you?
See, I have a hard time understanding because I'm going to look and I always see in pictures like, so gathering what? That's what I'm thinking. Gathering, like, I don't know what you mean exactly.
Okay, well, we're a bit different because you have your gather is SEFI, right? That's your consume.
Hmm.
My
Okay.
consume is NEFI, and my consume is also my first two function. So even though it's my third, it's gonna be easier for me than yours, just because yours is your third and fourth function. That's your SE and your FI. That's gonna be what you're gonna be gathering. So you have SF consume. So you're gonna be
Okay.
gathering like popular stuff, like cool stuff. You know, like you might be influenced by like friends or family that might say, "Oh, this is really cool to have," and you might be, "Okay, I'll go get this instead." You know, like,
Hmm.
or maybe if you're watching a TV show, like this is a popular TV show that everyone watches, you know, so I'm gonna go watch it too. Like, do you feel like
Maybe.
you do any of that stuff, or did you come up with everything yourself when you made a decision?
I'm thinking. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I'm not sure. Uh, I always think that I don't ever go with the flow, but maybe I do, and I don't think of. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, no worries.
Um,
That's okay. I mean, you have play last, right? So it's gonna be a little bit. I mean, sorry, you have sleep last, so it's gonna be a little bit more challenging. Uh,
like I'm not sure. I don't know.
yeah, I think this is the kind of stuff that you would have to practice with your like sleep, like to kind of think this through. You know, like
Yeah.
like what do you like? What do you believe in? You know, like your sleep is what is your sleep? NI and FI. NF. So NF is something that you're gonna have a big issue with. Do you get annoyed by when people talk about a lot of NF stuff? Like it's like kind of wishy washy and
Oh
like
yeah. Like yeah. Yeah, I do. I think my husband is completely NF. So,
oh,
my yeah, I think he's FINI is his type. That's
FINI.
yeah, he's would be ISFP
Oh, I
jumper.
see.
Yeah,
Okay, I see.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
he
That's what huh?
did he get officially typed already or?
No, no, no. That's just what I think he is. And it was funny. I mentioned that in my videos too. And Dave was like, yeah, I think you're really close to that. You know, he was just talking because of me talking, I guess. I don't know. But it was funny. But yeah, my husband is, I think he's FI first.
Yeah.
So we're like polar opposites almost. So
Well, that would make sense why you're together though, because opposites attract.
yeah, exactly.
Um, F, but that would make him controlling also though, if he's FINI.
But it's funny. He's only controlling about certain things, just what's important to him, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, for example, if you touch his tools and he's got his name on every single tool, he is going to like be so upset. Like this little thing is his, don't touch it. It's really funny.
No, I wonder if that's an ISFP though, because when people get territorial about their stuff, that's usually an SI thing, because SI is like stuff is personal, like stuff, like this is my stuff.
Maybe.
It's
I
very
just can't see him as the SI, but maybe I see, and I'm still learning.
yeah.
I'm very much learning because when you're like, your sleep is SF, and I'm going, or what was SF? Was it sleep?
Yours or
Anyway,
his?
mine. What was my
Your sleep is NF.
NF? See, I don't understand that yet. I have to learn that, how that works.
I think that means what do you value in the abstract world? Like, you know, like what are like okay, let me ask you like a quick question and let's do
Okay.
quick just to see what you know about yourself, okay? Let's
Okay.
what would you say are your top 5 values?
Um, why is this? It's always hard for me to when I think about it. My values, but then my mind goes straight to overanalyze everything. I already know I do this. Like I almost want to compartmentalize. Like Values in my life in general, or like
You,
specifically about
that's
something?
Mary. What does Mary value?
Um, I don't know. Obviously, I have all kinds of things I think I value, but then I don't even know how to spit them out of my mouth. So
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. Like it just, you know, that's why I'm asking you this so that you have something to mull over later. You know, like.
I don't know. My kids are important. My family's important. My husband's important. I've been trying to make this new family. Like family seems to be my number one focus.
Okay, that's a value. Okay, that's one.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
about the
that's
other
one.
four?
I don't know.
Because F I
What?
can go quite deep into the value system, right? So
This is funny to me, but I'm like,
it's
I
okay.
don't
You
know.
you have you have one. That's good.
I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I think I do go. I am a Christian and I read the Bible. That's important to me. That's why I homeschool.
Your faith is second then.
I don't know that it's second, but yeah, it's another one.
Another one. Okay, so it's in the top five somewhere, or top 10. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I feel so dumb. I don't know.
No, it's okay. You can't be hard on yourself. Like this is not like, you know, it's just like a question. Like
I know.
I'll give an example. Okay, so like for me, my number one value is obviously freedom because I'm an EP, right? So freedom is gonna be number one for me. Number two for me would be authenticity. Like I never want to sacrifice myself to. I don't want to lose myself to the group. You know, I want to be me everywhere I
Okay.
go. I'm not gonna change who I am depending on the situation. Like I'm me regardless of what situation it is. Honesty, like that's very important to me. Growth, that's also very important to me, and courage, that's very important to me. When I come to a situation where I could take the easy way out and run away, or I can get my ass kicked and get hurt emotionally, I would pick that because courage is one of my values. So that's kind of like, you know, that's how you
See,
yeah, sorry, yeah, anyways.
no, I'm just thinking because I'm like, well, it's funny that I just started a new job and they did this Nance training. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I have.
Yes. Well, anyway, it's about how to handle conflict in crisis, and they talk about characteristics and all that. Of course, all those characteristics were practically what you mentioned. Well, there was a lot of them. There were like 10 or 15.
Right.
And, and if I was to, I can pick from the list. It's kind of like, because I know, all right, this is in front of me, I can pick from the list, but to just like pull it out of my brain, I'm like, I don't know. Because to me, that's, my mind is like going everywhere. Like I have all this, like, well, which part of my life? I don't know. I'm overthinking it probably just because I'm thinking, what part of my life? Like, what do you mean I don't know. I always feel like I'm talking in circles, but yeah, okay.
It's totally fine. I mean, like I said, you have two, right? You have family and faith, so it's not like you don't know your values. It's just that
Right.
you know some of it,
The other,
but
I don't like fake people. That really bothers me. Does that mean that's a value?
well, fake. If you don't like fake people, then it means for you it's very important to be authentic.
I guess what I'm thinking too. Okay. Well, because that is something that I try to do all the time too. Like you said, is to be yourself. I try my best to be myself. Then being self-aware, it's really, I get so angry at myself. Like when I'm in public or I'm talking to you or whatever, I'm controlling my emotions and I'm trying to, I guess I'm faking it. I'm trying to perform a certain way to be pleasant to people.
Right.
But then there's this part of me that I'll come home and I'm in my house. And then it's like it all falls off and I'm not as nice. It's like I don't know how to be sweet to everybody in the house like I'm doing out in public or something. I
Right.
don't know. That's something that I'm very aware of that I do and that I want to change. It's not like I walk through the door and I'm just some crazy person, mean, but there's, the filter's gone. Like I'm just going to say what I think and do whatever. And that's the part I keep saying where I'm just can be really mean because anyway, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think, well, like from what you just described, what I kind of saw what was happening was like, because you spend so much time being nice all day to people, now you kind of, like everything kind of swings back and forth, right? You can't just go one way without it swinging the other way. So now you have to be mean. Unfortunately, your family has to take the brunt of it. you know uh,
I know. I know this, and I hate it. So
yeah. Yeah, like like the ideal situation would be like actually to be like nice to your family, but like mean to the people outside. But obviously you can't do that.
something.
Yeah, obviously you
Well,
can't.
sometimes I do that. Like when I just in a like I just tend to be moody. It's like if I'm in this mood, then I'm just gonna be like, screw it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I've always felt crazy. Like I feel crazy. Like I feel like I can't even make up my own mind half the time.
But that's really good self-awareness though. Like the
Yeah.
no,
Oh my.
because like feminine FI is kind of correlated with being moody. My girlfriend has feminine FI for sure. She has massive mood swings. You know.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely like I have feminine TE, so like I'm not confident with how I'm gonna execute things for a tribe. Like you probably for you you're
Okay.
very confident with that. Like this is what
Oh
we're gonna
yeah.
do. Yeah, yeah. There you go. You have that like the confident look in you when we talked about TE all of a sudden, right? So it's fine. Everyone has like an area where they have a masculine function and
Right.
a feminine function. So the feminine function, you'd be kind of like what you said. You feel like you're crazy or you feel like you're insecure.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
And the
That's
masculine, you
true.
feel like solid. So when it comes to what other people would need or what would
Yeah.
work for them, you're like solid. You're like, yeah, this is how we're.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I like take care of a mentally handicapped person, and I pay his bills and I take him to the store and so I can organize all that. That's easy.
Yeah.
You know. I can do that, but I can't manage my emotions.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then he'll make me mad, and then that's a whole nother thing. And I'm just like, anyway, it's really funny.
Do you
Really funny.
do you take like do you exercise or take supplements or any of that stuff?
Oh yeah, I take supplements a lot, and exercise is hard for me. Like I I want to do it. I know I should do it. So I do things like I always take the stairs, or I make sure that I park really far from the wherever I'm going, and I try to stretch and do this and that. But to literally sit and have an exercise routine, no. I have a hard time being consistent with that. But supplements, yes, I take a lot of supplements, and um, I've mentioned before I have Hashimoto's, which is this autoimmune thyroid problem. So I feel like sometimes I'm moody and forgetful because of that. Like maybe that has nothing to do with personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take a ton of supplements because that sometimes is what keeps me, physically balanced big time. So
Now you said that you have trouble staying with the exercise program. Um, One of my manager at work actually looks very similar to you, except she's in her 50s.
mm-hmm.
Like when I actually saw your picture, I was like, oh my god, you look like my manager. She's an ENTJ also, and she manages a fitness facility. But it's kind of weird because even though she knows how to work out properly, she teaches fitness. She
Mm-hmm.
herself does not work out.
I could see that. I could do that. I could totally teach it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's very ironic because she ended up hiring me as her personal trainer, and then I taught her what to do, and she got it no problem.
mm-hmm.
But then when it came time for her to do it, she just
You're right.
couldn't do it. So what I kind of figured out was it was like a problem with self care, self love. So do you feel like you
Yeah.
struggle with self care, self love, like doing things for yourself?
Oh yes. I always feel guilty.
But why do you feel guilty that you
I,
do stuff for yourself, like self love, self care?
like I guess I think I'm being like I'm taking too much time for myself. Like time is an issue for me. Like I'm all about time. Like what are we productive? I want to be productive. I want to be accomplished. And so for some reason, I don't think self-care is in that category, I guess. Um, like coming down here for this interview, I come down from this is downstairs from in my house. And I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to go do this interview. And he's just laughing at me.
Why?
And, and I'm like, well, and I said, I know, I'm just, because I seem really obsessed almost over this. Like, I really want to get into it and I like it and I want to understand it. Da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. But I really don't give it all of my learning power to, because you're listening to me. I don't really know it as well as I think I should. But anyway, um, I feel bad because I'm down here and he's up there, and like I'm taking time away from him in the evening or something. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, my earbuds keep falling out of my ears. I don't know why.
he's completely okay with you just doing this. It's like not a problem for him, right? Like it's he's like, go ahead.
Oh, it's not a problem at all. No.
Yeah.
I'm
So
probably the one making it a problem.
right. You have
Yeah.
really good self-awareness though. It's kind of, I mean, like it's pretty good, like it's like
But how do you fix it? Like, I have all this, like, okay, I'm aware of it, but it keeps happening.
yeah,
I'm like, oh.
I mean, I think the problem is like, logically what you need to do, but getting yourself to do it is the problem, because I have the same
Oh,
issue.
yes.
Yeah, keep going.
No, that's just, I'm agreeing 100%. Getting myself to do it. Yes.
Yeah, because like for me personally, like my problem is SI, right? Like self-control, self-discipline,
Yes.
organizing. Like I know this is a problem, but like if you give me a situation out of like 10, maybe I'll do something about it, maybe like 0.5 out of 10, you know, like it's not often. And so like when you're talking about, hey, you know what, I know what to do to make myself do the stuff for myself, but you're not doing it. I was like, I completely understand. Like it's like
Yes.
like
Oh my gosh. It's
yes,
terrible.
it's so difficult. Like I understand that you find it so challenging, so difficult,
It is. Yeah.
but then even though you still can't, like it, I mean, not often at
I
least.
don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. And let me just say this too. My husband and I just started recently going to counseling, and it's been good. I've never went to counseling my entire life. I probably should have started this in my 20s. It would have been so helpful. But I say all that to say, because he gives me challenges to do things and then learning the OP, it's kind of like the combination of them. It's been helpful. And at some point, I need to figure out how to put a lot of what I know to do in action. So I feel like I'm still in the phase of figuring out, like I need a plan. I need a plan, but then I don't know, we talk about motivation, but I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I think one of Dave's favorite saying is like, you don't have to be the master at it, because if it's your fourth function, you're gonna be awful at it. Like regardless of whichever type you are, whatever your fourth function is, you're gonna be awful at it. So for Dave, for example, like he started doing like a lot of house repairs, for example, because that's a lot of SE, right? And he hated that. So I think one of the things that he said to me is like, can you do 10 minutes of it per day? Just 10 minutes. Can you get a timer and time yourself for 10 minutes? So for you, for example, can you take a timer and like, do something for yourself for 10 minutes? Like just 10 minutes every day. Like I need to, like, I've been trying to work on this too, because like I said, self-discipline is my biggest problem, right? Like
Right.
I don't want to control myself. But then as an EP, if I don't control myself, other people will control me. So if I don't want anyone to control me, I need to control myself. So for you, if you want not to be insecure, then you need to do stuff for yourself. Like it's like self-love, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's like a vicious cycle, So it's like,
Yes. I feel like my whole life has been a vicious cycle. So yeah.
did you so Dave and Shan had a video on a guy called Ed Milet, and
Yes, I remember him.
I don't know if you've seen that video, but do you remember what he said about how he found himself? Like he had feminine FI also.
About making little promises to himself or something, right?
Yeah, and keeping it.
And keeping them, and just, starting off small. And yes, and that was Dave and Shan both in my audio gave me the advice that, I know I have 3 whiteboards in my house, for example.
Yes.
So they're like, just put 3 things, you and your husband, it'd be good if you did it together, put 3 things that you want to accomplish for the day. And, you know, he says, I know you're going to overthink the goals. Don't do that. Just put 3 simple things so that you can feel accomplished. And that's what I always want. I don't want us all to just sit around and watch television. I want us to do something. So that's good. I haven't started it yet, but you know, I just got my type Friday. So, I mean, but I make lists constantly. And it's funny because the way I do it, it just is something I started doing in the last year. It's this little notebook and I call it a brain dump. Like I just need to write stuff down because if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget about it. And so I'll write it down and then I'll cross off things as I go. And then what I don't do gets transferred to the next page. And sometimes it can be on the list for 2 weeks before I finally get to it, whatever, you know. So that's been working really good so I think that's similar to what he's talking about. But the goals are not personal. They're like, you know how it is. You have a million things to do in your life, kids, work, whatever, you know, groceries, buy this, get this is broken, fix this. That's the kind of stuff I'm writing down. It has nothing to do with myself, like for personal growth. And I need to figure that out, I guess.
Okay, I think I thought of something that might be good. So what is your biggest life bucket list? Like you must do this before you die. This is like.
Okay, well, I have this obsession with water and the beach. I just love going to. The first time I ever went to a beach, I was 22.
Yeah.
First time ever. So, and I just like, and here I am. This, I turn into this lobster redhead when I go out on the beach, obviously, because the sun is just going to burn me up in 10 minutes. But I have learned how to cover myself with the umbrella and whatever, and you know, in the sunblock. But my bucket list, I really want to go like to see the turquoise blue water. Like, does that sound crazy? And I also have an obsession where I want to go and see the castles in Europe and the different places. And you know, like Germany's really pretty. Just looking at pictures and all of the history. Like at one point, I got really fascinated by all the 15th century kings and all of the way they did things and the Roman Catholic Church and all the Protestant stuff. And of course, I was just like, so I want to go see it. So that would be 2 things I would really like to do. You know, I always tell my husband, I want to go travel like you're traveling. I haven't really been anywhere. I've been over here I live in West Virginia, which is right by DC, Washington, DC. I'm about 45 minutes west of that. Anyway, I've been there, you know, and I have only been up and down the East Coast a few times. That's about it. And I just really want to go places. But yeah, my husband will be happy staying in the same house, sleeping in the same bed until he dies. So there's that. Yeah.
Oh my God, your husband sounds very IJ like.
Maybe he is. I don't know. He'll tell you he's happy pulling weeds. You know, I mean, that's just him. I don't know. He's happy doing whatever. And I'm over here being high maintenance, so.
Your husband sounds like he's an IJ, like just based on what you just mentioned.
Maybe.
Like,
yeah, I'm trying, and I keep throwing that in my head too. I mean, he does seem more like an IP at times.
yeah, but he could be an IPIJ, like, you know, like
I know.
ISTJ SIFI, you know, like that's very IP right there. Like, but then whatever you just described, that's your FI. That's you. You just like going to Europe and looking at castles in Germany. That's your FI. Like learning more about that. That's your FI. Going to a beach, you see the turquoise water. That's your FI. There's no reason behind it. You just like it. That's your thing. Like you love it. That's your FI.
I do love it.
Yeah, that's your FI. Like, so now you have to do that. Then now
I know those are big requests, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, at least you know.
Yeah. I discovered the beach, like I said, about 10 or 15 years ago, and I've been like, oh my gosh, like that's all I want to do for vacation. That's it. Don't take me anywhere else.
Why did you go there for your vacation? Don't you get? Like,
I'm just saying. Well, all we can afford right now is just to go like we'll go in Virginia, and we've been down to North Carolina, those beaches,
Yeah.
which are not as pretty as if I would go all the way down to, like, even if it was just Pensacola. I mean, I could do that. It's not too far.
But it's okay. Okay, here's the deal. Like, I run a travel blog, and it's
Mhm.
not expensive to travel. Like, if you look, like, have you read the blog? Like, um, my mind is blank right now. But okay, there's a website called Travel is Free, for example. Like,
Oh,
they'll teach you how to travel for free, like, or almost for free, for example. And it's all
oh my
legit.
gosh.
It's all legitimate. Like travel is free. That's like that's one of the website. There's a lot of those websites. Like I said, I'm thinking of American. I'm Canadian, right? So
Okay.
from the US, there's a bunch of other websites that's really good that tells you how to travel. Like
I
for
had no idea.
there's so
Like,
many
I don't know
websites.
this information. Huh.
Okay, for example, I'll give you an example. I once went on a vacation where I live in Vancouver, Canada, right? So we drove down to Seattle, and we flew from Seattle to Las Vegas, and then to Hawaii, and then back to North America again. And our flight was less than $100.
You got to send me links and
So,
give me all your secrets.
yeah. No, I'll forward you on Facebook. Like, I mean, like I said, this is not impossible. Like, it's just like if you,
See, I don't know this. Why don't I know this? I don't know this.
I
Okay.
mean,
Wow.
well, you're not a gatherer, so that's okay. But like,
Apparently.
yeah, you're like an EJ, right? So like
Yeah.
you would have to rely on Play to get your information, which you are now. That's what you're doing right now, essentially. So I'll forward you all this stuff. So like when you're saying all this
Yeah.
stuff to me, right? I'm like, what? It's not expensive to go see a turquoise beach or go to Germany. Like you can go to Germany probably for $200, like round trip. You know.
You need to let me know your secrets because I
Sure.
had no idea. What? Okay.
All right. So Mary, we're gonna wrap up the interview pretty soon. I have two final questions for you. So the first one is, what advice can you give to other EJs, especially ESTJs and ENTJs, who don't have the self-awareness? Because even though you're an EJ, what I can tell from our interview is that your self-awareness is pretty good, like really good for an EJ. Like it's really good. So you did something right. So what is it what did you do right? Like, can you pinpoint how you figured this out?
um, Gosh, that's a good question. I almost want to say it's been my life experiences. Like, I feel like I'm in tune it bothers me when I offend people. And I want to know, I always ask myself the question, what's my part in this? What did you do wrong? Instead of always assuming it's them, you know, because that's really easy. So I've just had so many, I could sit here and talk to you for 5 hours about situations and not just drama, but I'm talking hard stuff. And I think a lot of that has made me self aware. Yeah, because there's just been so many hard situations. And I'm not just talking about being mad at your best friend for a minute. I'm talking like life changing events. And it's just too easy to blame people. And I want to know what I'm doing wrong because I always try to look at it like you're looking at me and you see me and I see you. So I want to like use your eyes and look at me. That's kind of how I think.
Wow.
Because it's important. And I think that's what also I feel like I'm insecure because I kind of feel like I I want to make sure what you're seeing is good or that I'm trying to give you a good experience. But then I go through these moments of um, like I have emotions that I can't control. So then I know you're seeing that part of me, and I'm so mad at myself for letting you see that. I guess is the best way. Yeah, that seems really deep, but yeah.
Oh my God, that's so good. That's so deep. It's no, but no, it's really good. I think from what you're saying, my interpretation is that how you found out is taking self responsibility for
Mhm.
something whenever something bad happened to your life, you took self responsibility for it. Like you said, okay,
Yeah.
I had my own part to this problem. Like there was something that I threw. to make this fire bigger. Like, and then the other thing that you did was that you had a lot of difficult life experiences. You know, that forced that. So I don't think it's enough to just be self-responsible. I think you definitely need to go through hell, as Stephen Chan would always say, to figure it out, and which it seems like you have. I think if anyone I would believe to have said that they've gone through hell, I believe you, because you can prove it when you just today, just talking to you, you know, with your self-awareness. Like I'm so impressed, you know, like I'm just it's a breath of fresh air.
It almost seems like maybe a blessing and a curse to me, because my self-awareness, I feel like that's what makes me insecure too. Like, because I know, and then I can't perform it the way I should. It's like this push-pull thing constantly, and it drives me crazy, and then I feel crazy.
Yeah, it's fine. I think that, like, the end goal though is like the most difficult part. Then later on is when you don't have a performance, when it's just you. That would be like kind of the end goal. Obviously, it's gonna be tough, but that's kind of the end goal. Now, before we wrap up this interview, is there anything about other functions that you're curious about? For example, I have NE, I have SI. So those are two functions that we both don't share because I'm an ENFP. So are you curious about those functions, or about any other functions that you're quite curious about, to get a more clarification?
I'm curious about what's the difference between NE and NI? And I've watched the videos over and over again. And I know it's like, well, NI zeroes in on one thing, and then you would be NE and you're gathering, or whatever that looks like. And so I have a hard time with, like, I need to see a picture, like, show it to me. So I drive my husband absolutely crazy because he's got to explain something to me 3 times. And I'm like, but I don't understand. and I think that's why I'm struggling with this whole function stacks and this gather thing. Well, gather what? Like, I've said that already, but it's the truth. Like, I don't, and you could apply that to S, F, T. Like, actually, I'll take that back. The extroverted thinking, introverted thinking, extroverted feeling, those, I understand those perfectly. It's S and N that I'm really struggling with. Introverted and extroverted.
Well, I can only mention the stuff that I know about. So I don't have NI, but from my understanding, NI, you have a box and you want to build upon what's inside your box, like your NI box, right? So for us with NE, we don't have that box. Like we borrow from other people's NI boxes, and then we use our SI to filter it into our SI, kind of like step by step how to do something. So yeah, we don't have NI, so we use our NE to kind of grab people's ideas. Also with NE, the ideas are not personal. So NI people tend to get offended when someone says something bad about your idea. Like, let's say you have a fantastic idea that you've thought about, and then now you tell to someone, and someone tells you that's a horrible idea, that's terrible, and they don't even give you any reasons why it's terrible. They just tell you it's horrible. So you would take offense to that, right?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
but I won't get offended because NE is not, for me, it's not personal. Ideas are not personal, you know. Like I would not take offense because I can just take another idea. So there's so many ideas to gather, right? It never ends.
Yeah.
But then we filtered with SI. So you have SE, right? So I don't know if you do this, but I heard people with SE tend to compare like more physical stuff. Like I think Dave said, like, people with SE tend to compare like muscles, for example. Like, oh, I have more muscles than you. Like, they'll physically each other. Or like
I do that. Right. I understand that. That's true.
Yeah, and if you're females, maybe you'll try to compare bodies or something, or makeup or something. Like, you're comparing something.
Oh yeah.
Well, like,
I do that a lot.
Yeah, no, I never do that because I have SI, right? Like, for me, I have like.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but for you, stuff is not personal. Like, for me, stuff is personal. Like
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
Like, I don't like lending my stuff to people because they're gonna mess it up. You know, like it's you know, it's personal. Like, this is my stuff. You know, like when people wear their shoes in the floor, my apartment, I get upset because, like, hey, you're making my floor dirty. That's my floor. You know, like it's
yeah.
you know.
That's funny. That sounds like my husband, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, but people with SE, they're like, oh, that's fine. We'll just clean up later. Who cares? You know, like it's not a big,
Right.
right? Like, no, but for me, it's like, no, it's not a big, it's not who cares. It's a big deal, you know, like, and now we sound crazy, right? So
Yeah.
you think you're crazy. Yeah, we're all crazy, right? So,
That's
so
what Dave keeps saying.
yeah, we're all crazy. So it's okay. You know, I'm crazy too. Right? We're all crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is like I was telling you earlier, the insecurity. Like I don't know. I guess I want to be whatever normal is, and I need to accept the fact that there isn't a definition of normal. So
No, no, there's not. I mean, I think all of us being crazy is normal. Like that is normal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the personality typing
yeah.
and getting to know people and understanding people, even though I think it's going to take me a while, but I'm really enjoying it. So
Well, Mary, thanks for doing this interview. That was fantastic. I had a great time. Definitely learned a lot about you. And like I said, it was a breath of fresh air to hear about your self-awareness. I think that was fantastic. And I will definitely send you the links to those how to travel for like super cheap.
please. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So
What?
you can go to the turquoise beach and those castles in Germany. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so ready.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm still like in shock over that information. Like, really?
I know.
Yes, send it to me.
I wasn't shocked too the first time. I've been to 89 countries, so like, and
I've heard you talk before. I've watched some of your interviews and I've heard you say that, and I'm like, whoa, like, and I've had the thoughts, like, how does he do that? And where does he get his money? And how people do these things? Like,
yeah, and like I only make 30 grand a year, so you know, like,
oh, see, yeah, you have to let me know your secrets.
yeah, so I don't make that much money at all. Like I'm not even close to being rich. So
No kidding. No
yeah,
kidding.
I
That's
just use all
awesome.
these loopholes. But anyways, thanks again, Mary, and we'll
Thank you very much.
all right. So I'm
All
gonna start
right.
recording. So
All
bye
right.
everyone.
Bye.